the long game. Tried to come back, it's not the same. Friendships end over lesser things. You tell a lie and play the blame game. Scheming from the beginning, what did you think? We can't go round and round like a roller rink. Friendships end over lesser things. Keep it moving with the drama you bring. Not having it, stop running with. I'm not a little bit a fool. Acting like you changed, but I know you're on the same thing. It's okay, it's okay. Not having it, stop running with. I'm not a little bit a fool. Acting like you changed, but I know you're on the same thing. It's okay, it's okay.
Salsa. Hello, how's it going, guys? Welcome to a new installment of Alchemizing Energy. You can put that onto the burrito. I'm sorry, guys. But listen, I'm gonna have this special guest on later on tonight at 6 p.m. And before I bring him on, I wanted to like give you some insights of like who he is, Ryan Deal, and play some of his former TikTok videos, his earlier TikTok videos. Now the reason why I really wanted to bring him on and really promote what he's talking about is because this young man has received so much backlash on TikTok, because he's a Caucasian guy practicing African spirituality. But to me, I'm like, it doesn't matter what color you are. You know what I'm saying? Ifa is not it's a religion based in antiquity. It deals with the ancestors, but there is no such thing as a thing of color. Just like Christianity, Judaism, and other religions are not based on color. Ifa is not based on race or color. So I wanted to show some of the things and some of his insights. Because I believe that he has a very good outlook on Ifa. And he explains things very clear and very well. So I wanted to like give some precursor. This is like just an intro to what we're going to be talking about. And if anybody has questions, like later on tonight, we're going to have him live on the channel, and then you will be able to ask him direct questions. So without further ado, I'm going to play a few of his videos. So let's go.
Hey everybody, what's up? So I finally got to a stage on my spiritual journey that I'm willing to open up and talk more about my Orisha lifestyle and talk more about African spirituality for educational purposes. I love my religion and I love my spirituality, and I feel like now is a time that I really need to share it, given the times that we live in and what we're coming up against in the world. I call it my Orisha lifestyle, and everything that I'm going to teach you or talk about is not closed, because Ifa philosophy is not closed. Orishas are not closed. Religions are closed. There's a difference. So everything I'm going to start teaching is based in spiritualism, creolized mediumship, animism, herbalism, astrology. And some of the things I might say might not sit well with other people who practice this stuff, but I don't give a fuck, because it's based on my experience. It's based on my life. It's based on how the spirit works with me. So how can you start learning about the Orishas, and how can you venerate and honor the Orishas respectfully? Well, the first thing you can do is start learning about them, reading about them, learning about their stories. And there's so many books and resources that will teach you stories of the Orisha. And also TikTok creators here that I share their videos quite frequently, telling stories about Orishas. You can learn about their dance styles, how they dance, learn how to dance like them, listen to their music, learn songs, sing along. And even though there are external practices that you can do, like get initiation or receive sacred items, there are many, many other things you can do besides initiation or receiving items in order to start getting in touch with that Orisha energy. You can learn how to make their favorite foods, food offerings. So I'm really excited to share this information. I'm also going to be working with people in my Discord server, in my mentorship program, because we're going to start studying Ifa philosophy, And we're going to start learning about the Orishas in my private Discord. So you can go to my TikTok profile and click on my link tree. Look at all of my offerings. We're still selling tickets to the Church of All Saints Spiritualist Revival, March 1st in Charlotte, North Carolina. Scroll down and click on Ajay Funfun Spiritual Mentorship Program. It'll take you to my new Ajay Funfun website, and then you have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and follow these instructions. You can't click through to Discord from this app from TikTok. You have to copy and paste that link into your phone's browser to get the invitation to join the Discord server. So anyway, I'm feeling inspired today. You're probably going to get a few more videos out of me. Okay, bye. Hey, everybody. So let's talk a little. So let's talk a little bit more about Ifa and Ifa philosophy. Ifa is a philosophy. It is also a religion. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And it's an entire ass culture. Ifa is not witchcraft and cannot be categorized into paganism because it is an ancient religion that archaeologists believe started around 200 to 500 BC, but is probably way older than that. Like Judaism is an ancient religion that is still practiced today. It's the same thing with Ifa. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Ifa are religions of antiquity that are in a continual practice. Okay, that's why you'll see people who are in Santeria or in Asheshe get super offended when people start appropriating it because it's a religion that should be honored and respected. It's not just a set of spiritual practices or a divination system. Yet, on the other hand, it is universal because we believe that Oludumare, God Almighty, created everyone. And so the Ifa philosophy is not limited just to the Yoruba people. Oludumare is not just the supreme creator of the Yoruba people, it's the supreme creator of everyone. And care, honor, and respect should be shown when approaching this spirituality. In order to learn this spirituality, you find teachers, you find babalaos, Orisha priest that will teach you about the tradition and guide you so that you don't act a fool and do shit you're not supposed to do. The Ifa philosophy has got a very, very strong emphasis on Iwa Pele, which means good character. It's a very ethical, moral, logical, reasonable way of life. And you don't have to be able to memorize any of the 256 verses in the Ifa corpus to remember that good character means good destiny, and good destiny means good character. Because the concept is that your life and the quality of your life and the quality of your destiny is 100% dependent on how you act, how you behave, your character. People with bad character get bad results, and people with good character shine and get good results. So if you want to learn about Ifa, study Ifa, the first thing, and practicing Ifa, okay? If you want to start practicing Ifa today, start working on your character, your behavior. Modify your character and your behavior to be in alignment with the Ifa philosophy of coolness. Today, the Ifa philosophy flies in the face of the behavior of Americans. Americans are angry, they're hot-tempered, they're always popping off on everybody, very disrespectful towards other people, and that is not the tradition of Ifa. It is not the spirit of Orula, Orunmila, the Orisha of destiny, fortune, and divination. Ifa has changed me a lot. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you can see that. Ifa philosophy has helped me to develop myself, to try to be a better version of myself every single day. I just made this video because there's so much misinformation on the internet everywhere. People who are, interested in other forms of spirituality other than Judaism, Christianity, and Islam might come to the Ifa spirituality, and witches, people that practice the occult, might also be drawn to African spirituality because it's not Christian. But just because it's not Christian doesn't mean it doesn't have morals and ethics. It really, really does. It has high ones, actually. So I guess the point of this video is that if you want to start practicing Ifa, start doing a better job, cool off your head, and start working on developing yourself to be a better person. And anyone that you see on the internet that is wearing one of these, or wearing beads, elekes, that is not adhering to the principles of Iwa Pele, demonstrating good character, is not the kind of person that you want to work with, and not the kind of person that you want to get initiated by or interact with, because character in Ifa is everything. So let's talk a little bit more about Ifa and Ifa philosophy. Ifa is a philosophy. It is also a religion. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And it's an entire ass culture. Ifa is not witchcraft and cannot be categorized into paganism, because it is an ancient religion that archaeologists believe started around 200 to 500 BC, but is probably way older than that. Okay, everybody, today we're going to talk about the difference between spiritualism and spiritism. You hear those terms a lot today on TikTok, and it's becoming popular in the witch talk community for people to refer to themselves as spiritualist. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Spiritualism and spiritism became very, very popular during the Victorian era. And people like Alan Kardec popularized communication between the living and the dead. Spiritualism is about working with spirits of the dead. It can be spirits of ancestors, spirit guides. Primarily, those are who you should be calling on and talking to. But it can also include other spirits of the dead that you come across. So I really want to focus on this guy, Alan Kardec, more because of how much he influenced people in the diaspora. I'm talking about in the Caribbean, when it came to traditional religions like Santeria, Lukumi, Palo Mayombe, and voodoo traditions like Sanse. He wrote books about spiritism like The Spirits Book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, the book on mediums. And these books became very, very popular, and they made their way from France, from Portugal, from Spain, down into the Caribbean. And traditional mediums picked up these books, embraced them, and started incorporating the seances and the misas, or the spiritual masses, into their practice. Now, the movement, according to Alan Kardec, spiritism, according to Alan Kardec, is something that's completely separate from Espiritismo Criollo or Espiritismo Cruzado, which is mixed or cross spiritism or creolized spiritism. And I recommend that you get on YouTube and look up Alan Kardec short documentary, which will tell you a little bit about him, his life, and his work. If you ever go to someone's home that practices some of these diasporic traditions, you might see this book sitting on a table with a white tablecloth on it, The Collection of Selected Prayers, which you can buy on Amazon. What happened is there started to be this mixture of spiritism with traditional beliefs. And so you'll find people that practice creolized mediumship, they'll have a table with a white tablecloth on it or something like it. They'll put out a white candle. They'll put out a glass of water, a glass of water. And you might see other statues around that, like a statue of Papa Candelo that represents a particular group of African spirits, or Native American statues that represent the Taínos, the first people to be colonized in the New World. You'll also see like statues and things of Orishas, like the image of the 7 African powers. The 7 African powers are not the Orishas. They're spirits of the dead, and they represent the 7 major tribes of people that were brought over during the transatlantic slave trade. I've already talked about the 7 African powers. You can go back and you can watch that video on my TikTok profile. One of the major concepts in Espiritismo is spirit guides. This is very importante. So like this image right here, or this image right here, or this image right here shows someone who is walking with the power of the ancestors behind them, or the power of their spirit guides walking with them through life. You'll find working with ancestors and spirit guides is really a core practice in the diaspora, and especially in creolized spiritism. There's a book called Ancestor Paths by Allah Dokun, honoring our ancestors and spirit guides through prayers, rituals, and offerings. So the thing that is like really, really super important in spiritualism and spiritism, I still haven't told you the difference yet, is we say a lot of prayers. And there is a lot of Christian iconography used. Allan Kardec's philosophy is a Christian philosophy. So there are a lot of people that come to the diaspora, like who want to get involved in Orisha tradition, like Cuban Santeria, that get really, really confused seeing people practice these seances, putting out crucifixes and glasses of water, like praying the rosary or saying these prayers, invoking the name of Jesus or using the Holy Spirit, and they get turned off. We're going to talk about that in another video, but I highly recommend that you get this book, Ancestor Paths, if you're interested in actively pursuing learning about this stuff. So what is the difference between spiritism and spiritualism? Well, spiritism is like an umbrella term, like Hinduism is an umbrella term. When we talk about Hinduism, the religion of India, it's not one religion. It's an umbrella term that refers to a whole bunch of indigenous practices and religions and cults contained in India. And so is the term spiritism, like the term voodoo. What does voodoo mean? Well, the word voodoo means spirit. What is a voodooizant? Someone that works with the spirit. So someone who practices spiritism and someone that practices voodoo, that's what that is. Voodoo is spiritism. And if you're a spiritist, you practice spiritism. I don't like this guy personally, but just because I don't like a witch doesn't mean that I won't recommend either their books or recommend their videos if they know what the fuck they're talking about. Brujo Sancista Luis is by far the best instructor when it comes to making educational videos about the Bovida, okay? Or talking about the table that's set up for the dead. And because I'm not over here trying to reinvent the wheel, if you guys want to go back 8 years into his video content, you'll find books about Espiritismo, 7 African Powers, Santerismo, and how to work the Bovida, or how to work the spiritual altar. When you're looking at a spiritual altar, there's always going to be one big glass in the middle of the table, and then there's going to be a set of other small glasses around it. There's always going to be a white candle, and there's going to be flowers. And in my next video, I'm going to be showing you how you can start practicing Espiritismo. We're going to talk about how to do it. We're going to be talking about ancestors a lot in October, and also connecting with spirit guides. But this first video is the primer so that you understand the concept of the difference between spiritism and spiritualism. So just remember, spiritism is an umbrella term that refers to anything that has to do with working with spirits in every culture. And spiritualism is more nuanced. It's talking about working with spirits of the dead in the context of like seances, Ouija boards or spirit boards or doing divination with the dead. You know why? I'm going to flex with my DNA. No, you're not wrong at all. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to flex with my DNA. So, Nigeria is a country that is in West Africa. And in Nigeria, primarily, the spirits are called Orishas. And then in Benin, which is voodoo capital of the world, and also in Togo, they call the spirits Vodun. And when those spirits came to the New World, Dominican Republic, Haiti, now Puerto Rico, Cuba, those spirits were called Loa, or they're called Loa. But they're the Vodun. They're the Orisha. You're not wrong. It's just there's all kinds of names for different ancestral spirits and deities in West Africa. And when they came to the New World, they were called Loa. But the Orishas are in voodoo. And if you practice voodoo, you honor the Orishas because they're in everything. I hope that makes sense. No, you're not wrong at all. And I'm going to explain to you why. The Orishas do not punish people. We have an Orisha called Eshu. Eshu holds back negative forces, negative energy, or spirits of misfortune. If somebody doesn't perform Abo, they don't make their proper sacrifices, or they're not following their taboos, or they're demonstrating bad behavior, Eshu is not going to hold back those negative forces. But it is not the Orishas that will come after an individual. It's the Ojogun, the spirits of negativity and misfortune. Poverty, can be death, can be lack of spouse, resources. But the Orishas' jobs are to help people on the path of life, not punish. So we need to decolonize our minds. The Ifa worldview and cosmology is not Christian, it is not Jewish, and it is not Muslim. Karma is a thing. And so if you act badly, you're going to get bad results. If you act good, you're going to get good results. That's it. But the Orishas ain't going to do shit. They're just going to sit back and watch and wait and see what happens. The only Orisha to be concerned about is Eshu, and whether or not Eshu is going to hold back those negative forces or not. That is Ifa philosophy. The Orishas do not punish people. All right, everybody. Let's learn some more about Orisha or Orishas. There's an absolutely fantastic website that I totally recommend because it is accurate, which is the World History Encyclopedia. World History Encyclopedia has a phenomenal article about Orishas. It's simple, it's not very long, and it's easy to understand. If we're going to learn about the Orishas, the first thing we need to do is try to understand what they are. Because whenever you're on TikTok or when you're on YouTube or Google, you will see a pantheon of Yoruba deities, right? Oshun, Yemaya, or Yemoja, Shango, Ogun, Eshu. And so to a Westerner, okay, and I'm specifically talking to Americans, to an American, you might think, oh, those are African gods, in the same way that there are Greek gods, Zeus, Aphrodite, Apollo. However, the concept of an Orisha is different. It is not the same as, let's say, a European understanding of a god. However, there is that divinity primordial aspect to them. The Orishas are divine archetypes, and they are expressions of the supreme reality that we call Oludumare, Olorun. I just want to hop to another website, which is the Britannica website. It also has a very nice article about the Orishas, although it's a little long and complicated. I just want to read this. An Orisha may be said to be a deity Yet defining an Orisha as a deity does not do justice to the concept, in a large part because the term deity often suggests a sort of anthropomorphic supernatural entity. An Orisha may be said to arise when a divine power to command and make things happen converge with a natural force, a deified ancestor, and an object that witnesses and supports that convergence and alignment. An Orisha, therefore, is a complex, multi-dimensional unity linking people, objects, and powers. You need to go back and listen to me read that again. So in the Yoruba creation myth, we have the people of heaven, the Arunmile, who came from heaven to earth in order to cultivate the earth and to create. Some of those people that came from heaven to earth stayed, and those that stayed here and died became Orishas, and they became primary Orishas, like Obatala, Oshun, Ogun. And the Orishas exist to help humans reach their goal of self-actualization, but these entities are not perfect in themselves, and you'll read about that in their stories, which their stories are a lot like Aesop's fables. They teach morality, ethics, sacrifice, and also teach us about the personalities of these beings, multidimensional quantum individuals. So we need to talk about Oludumare. The Orishas are supernatural entities usually referred to as deities in the Yoruba religion of West Africa, though they are actually emanations or avatars of the supreme being Oludumare. Their number is usually given as 400 plus 1 as a kind of shorthand for without number or innumerable. So my understanding and what I'm postulating, because people are different, you know, when it comes to like Christianity, there are Catholics, there are Orthodox, there are Baptist, there are Protestants, and not everybody agrees that there is a Holy Trinity. Some people are Unitarian, they don't believe in the Trinity. Some people believe that Jesus was just a man who was a great teacher. Some people believe he's the Son of God. But out of all those denominations of Christianity, all of those people, their feelings are valid and their beliefs are valid because they believe them. And it's the same thing with Orisha. Ifa is practiced in Africa or in Cuba or in Brazil or anywhere the Yoruba people were taken during the transatlantic slave trade and brought their beliefs. All of those feelings about the Orishas and the way that people venerate them, care for them, communicate with them are all valid practices. And I feel that Oludumare, Olorun, who is the supreme being, okay, God Almighty in the Yoruba pantheon, is manifest God's self through the Orishas. Matter of fact, the only thing that actually exists would be Oludumare Olorun, and everything else would be manifestations of that supreme entity. Oludumare, as a title, okay, can mean the owner of all possible outcomes and the owner of the pot that's never exhausted. And as the owner of all possible outcomes, Oludumare, even though a lot of people say, oh, God Almighty is very, very distant, and there is no cult that venerates or works with that entity directly, exists in all places at all times and is very present right here with you and me right now. Oludumare's presence permeates all of existence because Oludumare Olorun is divine consciousness. And we are all expressions of that divine consciousness. Most importantly, the Orishas. All right, we'll be back for another video in a little bit. All right, everybody. Your ancestors are your ancestors. It doesn't matter whether or not you have 1%, 5%, 10%, 20%, 50% of their DNA, doesn't matter. They're there. That means they're in you. They're a part of you. You are your ancestors. So when you start talking about how much DNA do I need in order to honor any particular group of ancestors, that's a colonized worldview. That's like a blood quantum approach to a spiritual practice. My answer is the only answer that's correct. Your ancestors are your ancestors. It doesn't matter.
I am no.
Okay, everybody. Today, I'm going to teach you how I read tarot cards. This is the first and last video I'm ever going to make telling you guys how I read. However, since TikTok is getting ready to disappear, I'm just going to go ahead and disseminate my information like I inseminate everything else. The first thing I'm going to do before I do divination is I'm going to pray, because I'm religious, and I'm going to ask God, I'm going to ask the ancestors and my spirit tribe to speak to me through the medium of the oracle. It can be very, very simple. And if you're divining on behalf of somebody else, also ask that the divine creative forces of the universe be backing you, and that the spirit of divination comes down on you, the Holy Spirit. You can shuffle the cards however you want, and then you're going to lay down 15 cards. I lay down 21, but I'm just going to show you 15. And that's what that looks like, okay? This is the Herbal Tarot. I love this particular deck. And all I did was shuffle up my cards and then lay the cards out 5, 10, 15, just like that. Those 15 cards, the placement of them doesn't matter. There's no past, present, future, any designated, no card, no significator, nothing. They're just the 15 cards. Then I'm going to take a nice deep breath. I'm going to exhale to clear my mind. And then when I open my eyes and I look down at my cards, there's going to be one card that pops, that jumps at me, okay? It's going to catch my attention. That's the first card that I want to read, because I read tarot intuitively. If I'm reading for a client, I show the card to the client and I tell them what the card means. And then after I finish telling them what that card means, I put it down and I do the same thing again. I take a deep breath, I relax, I open my eyes, I look at the cards. The next card that is speaking to me is the next message that I'm supposed to give. So you got to trust yourself. Tarot is not as complex as people think it is. It's not a difficult system. If you're interpreting the tarot intuitively, then you're just going by the images that are on the cards that are speaking to you. It might be the colors, it might be the expression on the people's faces, it might be the symbols that are on the card, but you just allow the card to act as a guideline, okay, for your own personal creativity and inspiration. And then by the time you finish that process and all of the cards are gone, your reading is over. Sometimes you have time to get through all the cards, like if you're doing a 20-minute long reading on TikTok or something, YouTube. Your job as a diviner is to tell your client what the card means. And it's your client's responsibility to understand what that message means. And if they're not understanding the messages that you're putting down, it means they need to write it down on a fucking piece of paper, because that is some kind of warning or it's some kind of advice. And even if they don't understand the reading now and you don't either, that shit can manifest, and it can manifest in a matter of a week, or it could manifest in a matter of, let's say, 3 months. Because most of the time, if you read somebody with tarot cards, there's about a 3-month period of time in which things will manifest. Sometimes those manifestations take longer. If you're a new tarot reader or oracle card reader, don't get flustered if someone tells you that they don't understand the message, or they don't understand how it applies in their life. That's not your fucking problem. That's a them problem. Just get them to write the information down and pay attention. Say, pay attention for the next couple of weeks and see whether or not this card makes sense. Because why do we practice divination? We practice divination because we're trying to look at all the possible outcomes or all the possible scenarios that we might be approaching in life. And not everything that is said in the tarot has to come to pass. If you pull the Tower card, okay, in your tarot reading, that Tower card doesn't have to happen. We're trying to prevent that Tower card from coming. We don't read cards to say, oh, guess what? In a week, you're going to have a Tower moment and it's too fucking bad. You're going to go into the dark night of the soul and that's it. No, we try to fix those things. Good diviners, or people who are real spiritualists, are trying to help people solve their problems. I forgot all the things I wanted to say, but if you have questions for me about how I read or this video, go ahead and drop those comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you.
So I did this video to give you an idea of who we're going to be bringing on later on tonight, and I think that there's going to be people hopefully that have questions. I don't want it just to be an output. I also want it to be an input. I want people to be able to come, may ask questions and get an understanding. Shouts out to him because not too many. The Ifa has been a very closed practice. The way that people it's very mysterious, and he is breaking down the mysteries of the whole thing. And so a lot of people have like shunned him and made him out to be the bad guy, but I'm actually for him. I'm saying, like, what? The fact that he's gotten initiated and he took the time out to get his initiation to be able to bring the information, hey, that might be his walk in life. It does not mean that, well, this is closed, you shouldn't be revealing these things. You know what? This is the age of information. So the last thing I'm going to do is play this video, and I want you guys to be prepared later on at 6 p.m. We're going to be interviewing this young man, and if you have any questions, please come up and be ready to ask those questions. So this is the last video. Check it out.
Today, we're going to talk about orishas, chakras, and planets. I want to be very clear. What I'm about to talk about is not traditional African religion. It is not Isheshe, which I am initiated in, nor is it Cuban Santeria or any other diaspora religion associated with Orisha. This is my personal thoughts and feelings and musings that I want to share with you. You see, it's my belief that innovation and inspiration and evolution in spirituality is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, as long as it doesn't try to replace or supplant any pre-existing religion. So what I'm about to teach is not trying to change anything about the spirituality I practice. It's adding something. So please, if you are an Orisha person, keep an open mind, because I think this is really, really cool. And I hope that you enjoy this. So everybody who practices spirituality pretty much knows that there's 7 chakras, okay, or 7 energy centers contained in the spiritual body, starting with the root chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. The root chakra, being the Muladhara chakra, is located at the base of the spiritual spine, down where your wahuha is, your shananana. That's what Sophia calls it. The root chakra is responsible for that fight or flight mechanism. It is associated with action. And the ruler of the root chakra is Saturn. So in my practice of Kundalini yoga and chakras and stuff like that, I associate, and many people do, Saturn, the planet Saturn, with the root chakra. And Saturn, the planet, rules over 2 signs of the zodiac, Aquarius and Capricorn. So the root chakra is associated with being grounded. It's associated with the earth energy. It's associated with stability and survival instincts. So if we were going to pick an Orisha that was an archetype, not the ancestor, not the divinity, but Orisha as the personality, as we read about like in the stories, okay? Who would it be? It would be Ogun. That's me in Nigeria with Ogun in Osogbo at the Oshun River. So who is the Orisha Ogun? Ogun is the god of iron in the Yoruba pantheon of Orishas. He rules the earth element of metal. He's a primordial because Ogun is one of the Orishas that came from heaven to earth to create this place. He is also the Orisha of technology. So anything that you have that has metal in it, okay, your cell phones, your computers, your cars, Ogun is the Orisha that rules that stuff. Ogun is also the Orisha of war. He's a fighter. He is a man. He is a man's man. You do not fuck with Ogun. And Ogun has actually been venerated for a very, 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 very long time, and not just in Nigeria, but all over Yoruba land. Okay, Ogun is many manifestations of Ogun all over the world, especially in Voodoo and Haitian Voodoo and Candomblé and Santeria and all the rest. In Palo Mayombe, there is a pot that Paleros work with called Sarabanda or Zarabanda, and that is loosely associated with the Orisha Ogun, and the name of the pot refers to what the pot actually does, which is it's a warrior pot. But prior to the Yoruba culture developing, there was another ancient culture in West Africa called the Nok culture, N-O-K. You can go look it up. And what's fascinating about that culture that pre-exists Yoruba culture, okay, in ancient Africa, is they were the first group of people to smelt iron and work with iron. When Europe was having its Bronze Age, people in West Africa were already working with iron tools, which is phenomenal and shows how technically advanced that civilization was. And Ogun is also the Orisha of civilization. He's associated with creating and helping build civilization here on Earth. So what is the point of associating the root chakra with the planet Saturn, the signs of the zodiac, and the primordial force of Ogun? It's energy. It's all energy. I practice Reiki. I practice energy work. I'm really super into it. I'm into meditation. I'm into energy. And one of the things that I found as I was on my Orisha lifestyle, Orisha journey, is that all of the Orishas have a very particular kind of energy, and you can feel it. It's a very energetic presence that you feel when you're in the presence of a particular kind of Orisha. And that's the energy that I feel when I'm close to Ogun. I feel very earthy. I feel very grounded. I feel very stable. I feel very empowered. I feel strong when I call on Ogun and ask for Ogun's protection, or try to invoke that Ogun energy in me, because the Orishas live in you in the same way that your mother and father live in you, in the same way God lives in you, that divine spark. And Ogun rules over that iron metal element in your body. That's Ogun's energy manifesting in your body. That fight or flight mechanism, that warrior spirit that gets invoked in you is Ogun energy. And so, like, as a meditation and as an exercise, what I'm asking you to do is think about, how does Ogun energy manifest in your life? You don't have to be initiated to do this, because what I just talked about isn't associated with any of the religions. It's just my own brain, and I want to be very clear about that, so people don't think I'm trying to spread false information. This isn't false information. This is just different information. How does that Ogun energy manifest in your life? And how does it manifest in your birth chart? You know, every single person has a Atma Karaka, or a soul planet. Your soul planet, or your Atma Karaka, is the planet that holds the highest degree in the heaven at the moment of your birth. I'm interested. Are you a child of Ogun? If you've had your hand of Ifa, or if you've been crowned Ogun or initiated into Ogun, I'd be interested in talking to you and finding out about your birthday, birth time and location of birth, to see whether or not your Atma Karaka planet aligns with your Orisha. My Orisha is Oshun, and my soul planet is Venus. So I've become and I also know other people's whose primary Orisha is also associated with the planet that is their Atma Karaka. So these are just things that I'm studying and learning and interested in, and that's why I'm an occultist. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope you thought it was fun. I hope it gave you something to think about, and another way to connect with, that Orisha energy. If you're an Orisha person, play with it, fuck with it, meditate meditate on it, and let me know what you think. You can drop those comments below. You okay? Bye.
All right. So I did this video because tonight we are going to be discussing from African Christianity to Wicca to African spirituality. So this young man started off in the Jehovah Witness Church. He became a Wiccan, then learned the 21 divisions, went into Palo Mayombe. I mean, he pretty much took the path of every African spirituality, and then he finally became an Orisha priest in Oshun. He went to Africa. And, you know, we're going to be talking about these things. I mean, he's a very highly intelligent. I love the way he explains things. And we're going to be interviewing him tonight. I hope that you guys come and check him out. Much love and peace.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.